Welcome to another Healthy Indoors Minute. I'm talking to you from the Tiny Lab, which is very pertinent to our conversations today about filters. So just as a basis, filters are the things that you know from your furnace or air conditioning cabinet. It comes in a couple different types. The most obvious one that most people are familiar with is called a rock catcher or a screen filter. You can see through it. This is meant normally just to protect the equipment from giant hairballs or sticks or things that find their way into the duct system otherwise. If the duct system is sealed and you have a fairly clean house, then it should be pretty clean. That being said, it's not going to catch a lot of smaller stuff. To catch the smaller stuff, you need what's called a higher MERV rating on a filter. I'm not saying that this is a good thing, but MERV stands for Minimum Efficiency Reporting Value. Aren't you glad you know that? This comes in a number, so MERV 8, MERV 10, MERV 12. But when you get to about 17 or 20 MERV, you're going to get into the land of HEPA, which stands for High Efficiency Particulate Absorbing Filters. It's going to take out about 99.97% of all of the stuff that's bigger than that. That's good. That's like pet dander, dust, stuff that's going to be upper respiratory issues for you, coughing, sneezing, things like that. But all the stuff that's smaller than that is not caught by these, and that's the stuff that gets down into your lungs and potentially goes into your bloodstream. If you have not seen the Home Chem series of videos, I highly recommend that you do if you have not been through all of those and you're interested in healthy indoors. Now, of all of that kind, what we're talking about is just the importance of having some surface that these particles can stick to. The screen, what you're seeing, those little fiberglass filaments, is the surface that we're trying to stick these particles to. So the more surface we have, the more likely it's going to be that these little bits of stuff are going to stick. Now, not just particles are going to stick to these surfaces. It turns out that chemicals also can stick to these. And just as a reminder, everything is made of chemicals. The air is, for example, ozone. That actually tends to stick to surfaces. So when they say stay inside on a day when it's bad air quality outside, it turns out that that actually is a thing, because the cracks and gaps in your house that result in the accidental air leakage that we're always so concerned about on this channel end up having the ozone that's coming in brush against these surfaces in your house that are slightly sticky, just because everything is always covered in a fine veil of oil. Everything. It's a little bit gross until you understand that it's okay, it's just the way that life is. Anyway, we're sticking particles and these certain chemicals that end up being sticky to these filters. Once we have stuff, gunk, that we do not want in our house, the contaminants that we're talking about when we talk about healthy indoors, stuck to this surface, you can do one of two things. You either have filters that are disposable or washable. In either of those cases, what we're trying to do is collect all of the gunk in a specific place and then dispose of it somehow. Now consider this. In a previous Healthy Indoors Minute, we talked about the fact that your rooms inside your house are part of the duct system. They're the very, very low pressure part of it, but they're a very important part, because the thing that makes indoors different from outdoors, and the reason that the Healthy Indoors mission is so much more imperative for us, is because there is so much more surface area indoors than there is outdoors. Even when you're in the middle of a forest, there's just so much sky above that forest that the diffusion of all of these contaminants that we talk about here is much easier there. Here, we've got so much more surface to volume ratio, and in a tiny house, we have exponentially more surface to volume ratio than we would have in a normal house even. And so, my house, all of it, including me and my skin, my cats, all of the hard surfaces, especially all the soft surfaces as well, becomes a filter in that respect. And I have the two choices. I can either dispose of my house, I could burn it down once I've collected all the contaminants on there, or I could wash it. Washing your surfaces is a thing that's as important as washing your filter or replacing your filter, because of course this is where we're collecting a lot of that stuff. And don't forget that once we change the dynamics of the air temperature and relative humidity, if it becomes more humid in this room because my dehumidifier shuts down or because we have a pipe leak, suddenly all of the things that were on my filter of my walls, my furniture, etc., now re-emit into the air and they become airborne again. That needs to be picked up. So this is just a conversation about how complex this entire idea of filtration is. Don't let anybody ever sell you on one solution that's going to solve all your problems. That cannot work. That being said, there are solutions out there that are actually better than HEPA that you will see if you tune in and subscribe to this channel on the house that we're building right outside. So I hope that you will stay tuned for that, because there are some possibilities, but anybody who's a manufacturer knows that all systems are then going to interact with other systems. And so we need to just be smarter about designing homes as a system. On that note, please do read Healthy Indoors magazine if you have not already. Make sure that you comment, like, subscribe here. Tune in next time.